Behind series.
You know, that's very important. As a matter of fact, that's one reason we produce this DVD, is because when Jesus came the first time, the church, his people, the Jewish people, they had the prophecies regarding the first coming of the Messiah, but they misapplied them. They adopted popular traditions instead of what the prophecy said.
That's an interesting point.
And they weren't ready for his first coming because they misunderstood the prophecies. The devil is going to do the same thing in the last days. There are a lot of popular ideas about the final prophecies, but they're fantasies that a lot of people misunderstand. And folks need to know what the real biblical outline is, and that's why we put this DVD together.
One sign, last generation, the whole earth involved in that sign.
Well, what is very unique about our generation, Jesus said the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world for a witness to all nations, and then the end will come. Matthew 24:14. Never has there been a generation like this generation that has the capacity to preach the gospel simultaneously all over the world via satellite and the internet, not to mention radio and video and audio and DVD.
So we're set up for the fulfillment of that final sign.
We have to be in the last generation.
Amazing. So Doug, let's go to the bottom line. It's going to end, we know.
Yes.
But how? I mean, I've read the asteroid hit scenario, nuclear holocaust scenario, World War III, Armageddon. What's the book say about the ending?
You know, Dwight, the Bible is very clear that there is going to be a tremendous time of trouble. In Daniel chapter 12, the prophet there says, there'll be a time of trouble such as there never has been since there was a nation. And this is often thought of as the tribulation. Revelation tells us that ultimately everybody in the world is going to make a choice, and there'll be a polarizing. One group has the seal of God and are filled with the Spirit of God. The other group has the mark of the beast and are worshiping the power of evil.
So we're not talking about an isolated little event in an obscure corner on earth. This is the entire planet.
Revelation 13 says that he causeth all, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. And so it's a universal problem. And that will then lead to a global cataclysmic series of events. No doubt, well, Revelation 18 tells us there's going to be economic collapse. Yeah, there's going to be environmental upheaval, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. There's going to be plagues and...
So the evening news to the 10th power.
Yeah, yes, the worst of the evening news.
But that's not the end. I mean, that's not the bad news is not the last stop.
No, at the very midst of the worst moment, and you can read about this in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat, and both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. But prior to that happening, the Bible promises God is going to come and rescue his people. So they don't need to fear what finally is happening here. And that you find in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus shall we always be with the Lord.
But we're not talking about some little, man, I missed it. I wish I'd been awake when that happened. This sounds like, when you put the two texts you just read together, we're talking universal, cataclysmic, with this brilliant cloud in the sky, ending to Earth's history.
Yeah, the crescendo of Earth's history is the blessed hope. It's Jesus coming, which is very good news for those who have found faith in God, and it's very bad news for those that have put it off or rejected that opportunity.
But the ultimate good news story, beyond the truth of Calvary and the gift of salvation, the ultimate good news story, Doug, has got to be the way the Bible ends, with this picture of heaven. And I want to take a moment before we wrap here to take a look at that picture.
You know, one of the things I love is the continuity of the Scriptures, Dwight. In the beginning, it starts in a garden. Man is eating from the tree of life. He's in paradise. Revelation ends with man once again eating from that tree of life in a beautiful garden.
Fascinating.
And the whole purpose of the plan of salvation and prophecy is to get us back to God's original plan before this terrible rebellion of sin.
So heaven is this fluffy little cloud in the nether of the universe, and you know the traditional strumming of the harps.
Fat naked babies on the clouds.
I love that description.
Yeah.
But it's not that. Make it real for me.
Well, it is very real. The Bible tells us that we'll have real bodies. They'll be glorified eternal bodies, but they're doing real things, as Jesus was when he rose from the dead. And it says we'll plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. We'll build houses and inhabit them. He's made these real bodies that will be doing real things. But the good news is in this kingdom there's no more pain, there's no more sickness, there's no more death, no more sorrow, no more tears for eternity. Pleasures at his right hand forevermore.
One last question. Everything within the human mind and spirit is drawn to that picture. How hard is it for me to get there?
Well, the good news is it's a free gift. If we accept by faith and invite the Lord into our lives, he can revolutionize our lives. He can do for anybody what he did for me. I was drinking and smoking and running around naked up in the mountains and using drugs, and God just totally changed my life when he came in.
And it's all wrapped up in what?
It's wrapped up in accepting Christ, his substitute, his death on the cross in our behalf. And he comes into our life and gives us the gift of the Spirit, and then he gives us purpose. He activates his plan for our life.
Incredible ending of hope in this book.